Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, welcome. On today's videos we are talking about career paths for radiographers. I had quite a few of you asking me what are other directions that a radiography career can take you. So if you are a medical imaging student, a newly qualified radiographer, or even a senior who's thinking about exploring other roles beyond clinical, this video might be for you. And even if you are another type of clinical professional, this might still apply to you because many medical careers share a similar path. So let's start with the traditional path. Most radiographers, after graduating or finishing their bachelor degrees, they go straight into clinical work, usually in hospitals or small clinics. Studies have shown that over 90% of medical imaging graduates go into clinical work, and thank Lord, because the hospitals are struggling and they need radiographers. Actually, here in the UK and in Europe in general, there's a huge shortage of radiographers and other medical professionals as well. So in my case, I did this as well. I believe after like a month that I graduated, I would just start working in a big NHS trust here in the UK. So I literally moved from Lisbon to Southampton and I started working as a radiographer. But the difference between me and other colleagues or the radiographer, I'll say most of the radiographers, is I had a plan. I knew where I wanted to be in 3 to 5 years in my career and in my life in general. So the cheat code is having a plan. If you are still in college, this is the best time for you to explore all your career options. Okay, go to career fairs, health tech expos, and talk with professionals in the field. When I was in my 4th year of university, we had a workshop where all medical professionals in our field with our bachelor degree, medical imaging and radiotherapy, came and talked to us. So we had clinical radiography, salespeople, radiation protection, and more. And there's when I discovered there was like a whole world beyond hospitals clinical work, and I was like, oh. What really stood out to me that day was the sales side of things, because I was already working as a sales assistant in a clothing store, so I was doing sales and I was pretty good at it. So I was like, I could do this. So after that workshop, I did my own research and I reached out to the radiographer that was working in sales, and he gave me his advice. He told me that he went into the traditional path for 4 years and then he decided that that wasn't what he was doing anymore, and they had the chance to talk with the application specialists and the sales specialists that were coming to hospitals when the hospital will acquire like a new equipment. So he said like that kind of like stood out to him, and he liked doing that. So he applied for like a couple roles, went to interviews, got the role of application specialist. So basically you just go to the hospitals and train the radiographers or clinical staff to use the equipment that the hospital just acquired. And then after 3 to 4, and then after 3 years of him doing that role, he jumped into sales because that was his ultimate goal. And then after talking to him and doing my own research, I was like, you know what, that seems like a pretty legit path that I want to proceed as well. So when I finished college, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go and do 2 to 3 years of radiographers or 3 to 4 years of clinical radiography, and then move into a sales role. But meanwhile, when I was in my clinical role, I discovered other things that I love and I'm very passionate about, and that's what led me into health tech instead of sales. But sales is very involved into health tech, so it's still like an option for me. And so the conversation that I had with the sales professional was really like an eye-opening, because even when I was doing my internship, I knew that clinical radiographer might not be the forever path for me. So it literally just like solidified what I wanted to do. So after I graduated, I had the opportunity to move to the UK. I'm from Lisbon, Portugal, to move to the UK and start working as a radiography. Immediately after starting to work, I realized that the UK functioned a little bit different from how Portugal functioned and the rest of Europe mostly. So here, UK really values like specialization as a professional. Back in Portugal and rest of radiographer as well, and the rest of Europe as well, but not as much. So in Portugal, as radiographers, we rotate through all the modalities. So for who doesn't know, radiology has like a lot of modalities. We have general x-rays, which is when you have a suspicious of like a broken bone, broken and fractured bone, you go to and have your x-rays, and then with the x-rays we support in surgeries as well. So that's into general x-ray, and we have fluoroscopy as well, and that's in the general x-ray. And then you have your more specialized area, which is CT, MR and interventional radiography. So you have all these areas in Portugal and the rest of Europe. I know at least France, Germany, Switzerland, it's the same because I have family and colleagues like working there. You rotate as a radiographer. 1 week you are in general radiography, the other week you go into CT, and then the other one MR. So you need to know kind of like everything, and you still, obviously there's going to be like an area or modality you love the most and you're going to be more specialized in it. But here in the UK, it's like when you graduate like about 5, you just start working in general radiography, and then if you are interested in CT and MR, then you like go to that area. But you will be just doing that, the CT and MR, and not doing the rest. So I mean, preferences, me personally, I think I'll prefer to rotate because it just like keeps you more excited, I don't know, and you are able to do other things and not just be stuck in one modality or two. And it makes you like be always on edge because you need to know like all of what you're doing. But here in the UK, they just work a little bit different. So when I started, my first almost 2 years, 1 year and a half, almost 2 years was in general radiography, and then I got like a role to move to London to do CT, MR and general, because it was a private hospital, wasn't as busy as NHS. And besides that, I was started to do more PACS administration, and that's where I discovered that I love PACS. And after 2 years in that role, I decided, you know what, I remember my plan, and I decided like I want to go to health tech. So I had the opportunity to talk with like a lot of salespeople, clinical application specialists, and I was always going into fairs and health tech expos. And when I discovered like I could do PACS administration, take that love for PACS administration and PACS and go into health tech, that's where the role of a clinical PACS administrator came out. And I applied, and hopefully I was successful and landed like this amazing role that I'm doing now that allows me to travel national and international. Actually stay tuned because in 3 weeks I am going for my first international trip in this role, so I'm very excited. So yes, that's like my history. I think it's like very much like the norm for how people kind of like transition from clinical to health tech, but there are people that go straight from finishing their degrees to health tech. Is very, very rare, because these companies, they want people that have clinical experience. So actually, before getting the offer to move to the UK, I interviewed for one of our biggest competitors, Siemens, for the role of a clinical application specialist. And even though they love my resume because I had like the sales experience, that contact with sales and people, and they knew my background as a medical imaging student, they still said like I was missing the clinical knowledge. They want like someone with clinical knowledge, so they advised me actually to go and have at least 2 to 3 years of clinical experience, and that's what I did. And that's what you going to hear like a lot. So if you're still like a student or newly qualified radiographer, definitely take those 2 to 3 years to learn, or even like 5 years, because sometimes you are so excited about the role, you loving clinical work, working with patients, with other colleagues, you work in multidisciplinary teams, so it's very nice to interact with all those people and learn from them and share knowledge. You kind of like get stuck in, but yeah, just remember of your plan and where you want to see yourself in 5 years, and make sure you are working through that, because my plan never went out of the window. I never like forgot about it. It just like changed a little bit because I discovered how much passion that I have for PACS and PACS administration, and teaching others about PACS and helping them optimize their work through PACS administration, because PACS is literally like the center of our work as radiographers, radiologists, medical imaging professionals. So, and that changed like a little bit, but it was still part of my plan. I initially wanted to go into sales directly, but then I discovered like I do love this clinical application. I do love the clinical side, training, optimizing other people like work also, and that led me into health tech. That for me it's even like better than sales. But you know, there's like health tech sales, so you never know, maybe in like 2 to 3 years I'll go into a health tech sales role in the company, because my company, thank Lord, does really give support for if you want to move around in the company to explore other roles. So yeah, that was my history, my path, how I came to be where I am, and I want to help you to find your path as well, and make sure you have all the knowledge, all the support, and all the tools to achieve that plan, that goal in 3 to 5 years. Alright, so just to round everything up. Alright, so as a radiographer, you can stay in the traditional path. You can go for a more commercial, or you can go full health tech like me. So the traditional path will be your clinical work, commercial will be sales, clinical application specialist, product specialist, and then health tech will be clinical consultancy roles, medical imaging analysis, and all those health tech sales, all those roles. So whatever role that you want to do, just make sure like you do your research, you take all the actions that you need, like complementary courses. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, please watch my first video, how to break into MedTech. That will help you. But through all of this, my biggest advice is, if you are in college still, if you are new qualified, is clinical work, clinical background gives you credibility, and the companies going if they have two candidates, one doesn't have clinical experience and the other does, they definitely going to go with the clinical experience, because you know how it is to work in like a clinical environment in a hospital, the pressure. You know that that's very important for you to be successful on the role, and your clients, your customers, they're going to trust you more, and they're going to see how credible and trust you're going to be, just more credible for them, because they know you are one of them. You know what they go through, you know how hospitals work, you know how hard it is to do clinical work, so they know you will be advocating for them and wanting what is like the best for them. That's why companies value so much the clinical experience, the clinical background. So what are other roles that you can do as a radiographer or a medical imaging student? So you can go to medical imaging analysis. It's a remote work or work from home completely, and instead of you taking the scans, you're going to be analyzing them. Like obviously going to be like, oh, I'm a radiographer, not a radiologist. Yes, your role as medical imaging analysis is like to make sure that the images check all the boxes of image quality, QAs, like there's no movement on the images and stuff like that. And for this role, usually for big pharma companies, because they release new medications, they have the cancer patients taking them, so they take scans every 2 weeks, so every month or 2 months, whatever time it is, and they try to see if the medication's like working, and how they see that is through the scan to see if the tumor is decreasing in size. So yeah, it's a pretty cool role. I actually was offered this role twice by 2 different companies, but at the time, the first one, it was the pay was ridiculous. So it was like the company that was trying to basically bully me into like accepting the role, and I said no. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and watch one of my videos, the 5 red flags of certain companies that you need to be aware of. So yeah, the pay wasn't great at all, so I said no. The other company, the pay was really good, but I was indecisive. It's just my heart just felt better with my clinical consultant role, which is the next one that I'm going to tell you, and I just felt better at Philips. I don't know, Philips and clinical consultant role just touched my heart more, and that's where I wanted to be. So I was very lucky to have offers where I could choose where I wanted like to be and negotiate like my salary. So that was like a plus. So the next role is a clinical consultant role, which is the role that I'm doing. As a clinical consultant, you can be by systems, which is what I'm doing, like health tech, and I'm a clinical consultant for PACS. You could be a clinical consultant for equipment, for example. So yes, actually I love this role. It allows you to travel, so instead of is remotely, or should I say field based. So it's kind of like, I'm not gonna say half because my role is like 80% travel or field based, and then 20% working from home or going in the office like every other 3 months when we have general meetings with teams. So yeah, it's a pretty exciting role. If you love traveling, meeting new people, you're going to love it. Actually, in 3 weeks, I'm going to have my first international trip. I'm so excited. I'm going to have my first international trip. I've been traveling like a lot through the UK, but this is going to be my first time traveling, and I'm going to Europe. Stay tuned. I don't want to say which country it is, but I think you're gonna love it. I'm so excited. All right, and then the next role is the clinical application specialist. So this is like the most role the radiographers kind of like go. after they have done clinical work for several years, like 5, 6, 8, 10 years, because it's easier. Once again, it's like the traditional path that people follow the most. It's because you already like know about the equipment you're going to be training other. So normally you can be a clinical application specialist for mobile equipment, like your mobile x-rays, your C-arm, or for the x-ray rooms, or for the CT, the MRI. So you can be like the clinical application specialist, go into the hospital. This role, it's remote or field-based, so you're going into hospitals and going to teach your fellow colleagues or radiographers, clinical professionals, how to use the equipment that the hospitals just bought. So it's a pretty cool role as well. And this role normally lets you, after like a couple years of you doing the product specialist role, which is like a pretty cool. So because you already know so much about the product, how it works, so you can be a product specialist, which is like a role step, like the role step from the clinical application specialist. So the product specialist, it's a pretty cool role as well. But it kind of like limits you to just, if you're like a product specialist or CT, it's just like that CT or the MRI equipment, and then you have product specialists for the mobile equipment or the x-ray room. So you literally so you're going to be very involved in the cells and trying it. It's a pretty cool role if it's like a area or like a product you really love. So you never know, so you can do that as well. For those type of roles, you really need clinical experience, so they value like a lot people that are coming from they have like the clinical background, because obviously it's going to be easier for you to explain the product, or you're going to be more knowledgeable about the product. You're going to know the advantages and disadvantages of the product, because you work with the product or with very similar products, so you know what are the clinical staff love and don't love about the product. So you're going to be easier for you to help the sales team on how to present it. And then last but not least, you have the sales specialist. So this role is the one I wanted the most. I really wanted to go into sales because I'm pretty good in sales, and I have a sales background. I took like a sales course as well, like a postgrad. I took a postgrad in sales or business, so I think I will be like very good at it. So there's like health tech sales as well. So sales is what other radiographers can do, is like after the clinical application specialist. So there's usually two like paths they choose, or they go to product specialist or clinical sales specialist, because then once again they know a lot about the product, so it's going to be easy for them to sell. But there's like a very small percentage of people that actually, after they finish their degree, they go and take their master, and then with master normally they take a business or whatever master they take. They're going to be more lean into product knowledge. After they finish in their master, they go straight into sales, because it's easier, because once again they study in detail about this product, so it's going to be easier for them to sell. But like no one ever gonna take you the clinical experience, the clinical background. I think when you have like a clinical background with all the extra courses you took, they have two different people, and they're going to be, who I'm going to choose. They're going to choose that person with the clinical background, the clinical knowledge, the clinical experience, and the little extra courses, theory they had, and they're going to choose them over like a person with a master. Trust me, they will. I've seen it like many times play out like that. So yeah, those are some of like the roles that you can go, and I'm pretty sure there's more. If you know more, these are like the ones I'm like more familiar with, and I know a lot. I have like a lot of colleagues and associates that went to that path, they're doing that. And yeah, if you would like more detail about this type of roles, what the intent, what you need to do to make sure you get like an offer for this type of roles, let me know, and I will do like a separate video like about it. But yeah, those are like all your options. So my advice, especially for students and newly qualified radiographers or any medical professional, is have a plan. That's the cheat code for success. Okay, I know we love to live like carpe diem, but being organized, having a plan, like beats being spontaneous and just going with the flow every single time. So yes, just have a plan, think what you want to be in 3 to 5 years, and build step by step until like you reach those goals. That was exactly what I did. Like sometimes I have like colleagues reaching out, or I heard from my colleagues in college saying like, oh my god, how she got all these things. And like, I had a plan. Okay, just if you have a plan to your life, professional or personal, and just go after those goals, you will see, and be focused on those goals, you will see your life going to start to get better, and you will achieve all the goals that you are working for. So yes, have a plan. Obviously live the moment, enjoy your life, but like make sure that you are building for your future and you are working through like your goals. So don't be envious of others, be inspired, ask advice, and go after what you want. That's my advice for this video, and that's my advice for all the college students or the newly qualified radiographers, or even senior radiographer, like I said, and other professionals. Just have a plan, go after that plan, those goals, and you will see you will reach them. And in a couple months, a few months, or even a year, you're going to be living the life of your dreams, the career. And that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone that might benefit from this information, this video. And let me know down in the comment if you want me to go deeper into any of these roles. And follow me on Instagram. I post there more often, and I share with you my trips, my day-to-day. So yes, I'm gonna put my Instagram here, and it is on the description box as well. Subscribe to the channel, help me grow this amazing platform and help as many radiographers, medical staff, medical staff, and let's build this community together. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and see you on the next one. Bye.